Welcome to episode 36 of Real Talk with a Vulnerable Angel and Friends. I am your host, the Vulnerable Angel, Dominica May, and I am joined tonight with my regular guests, Mike and Sharon. Welcome, guys.
Oh my.
Or Leonardo, the Ninja Turtle, instead of Mike.
Oh, that's awesome.
What are you talking about? This is what I look like.
Mike is cosplaying for us today because it was not that long ago he was at San Diego Comic-Con.
Mike, you're looking jacked, my dude.
Well, I eat a lot of blueberries these days, and it has a lot of the antioxidants, so it really brings out that muscle tone.
I see.
You,
yeah. You were showing us the enormous blueberries that you were eating beforehand. So amazing. Massive. The impact that it's had on you on such a short space of time.
No. Wait, hold on, I'm getting a camera glitch. Hold on 1 second.
No worries. Unless you're kind of hoping he'd do that, do it that way the entire
time. He's probably going to come back as a different character, not himself.
Okay. There
you go. Yeah, Michelangelo. There we go. He's Michelangelo now.
Sorry for the camera glitch, you guys.
Oh, you're fine.
It's all good. That's a great statue.
Yeah.
Speaking of statues, you may have noticed my background has shifted. I have more figures behind me rather than Lego now, because all of the Lego that used to be behind me is packed up into plastic in crates now.
Did you disassemble them? Or did you just
some of them had to be partly disassembled, but not like completely disassembled. I only took them apart as much as necessary in order for them to fit into the plastic crates that I got for them. So they might be in two parts rather than one tall building or whatever. But yeah, I'm pretty impressed with how well I have done with packing that stuff up. But I was like, my background is pretty bare. Maybe I'll just move my figures that I have not packed away yet into my background just for today, and then we'll see how things go.
Oh, it's a little lion, if you ask me.
It's what?
It's a little lion, if you ask me.
Lion?
You said it was bear. I think it's more.
Oh, okay. I suppose. I am slow without context. Yeah, but I still have a couple of Lego sets up there. The Birds of Paradise Lego set and the bonsai tree. So those ones I haven't packed up yet because they feel like they're a little bit trickier to pack up compared to some of the other sets that I've done. Although some of the sets I have packed up have been tricky as well. Like I had an orchid flower set as well that I had to wrap up, and I'm amazed. I also have like slightly shaved, I don't know if you can see this, but I slightly shaved my finger yesterday accidentally on with, you know how packing tape it's you know packing tape, how you can have it on a thing that has a blade on the end. Yeah. Ooh. So the blade from that was caused that damage.
Yeah, that happened to me not that a long time ago. I've got a whole scar here.
A scar? Oh my god! I hope this doesn't scar. It looks awful right now though. It's like only like a barely shaved on it, but I'm just like, that's tricky.
It makes you look tough. Very good.
It makes you look tough. The thing is, like, I could tell that this was going to happen before it happened, and I still went ahead and did it anyway.
Destiny, my friend. Destiny.
Dumb. Anyway, moving on. Our topic for tonight is perception of problematic public figures. You know, people in mainstream media like actors, directors, producers, writers, musicians. Those types of people. We're going to stay away from politicians. but otherwise it's kind of fair game. So that's the sort of thing. Problematic, we mean in the likes of J.K. Rowling and Neil Gaiman, Harvey Weinstein, those kinds of types, Bill Cosby, those problematic things that you've probably heard about. So that's the topic for tonight. Thanks to Mike's suggestion, and he curated our questions to discuss tonight as well.
Thank you, Mike.
Still created by ChatGPT. I need to make that distinction. Yes. I did not write the questions.
Written by ChatGPT, but curated by Mike.
Well, you have to prompt it nonetheless. So
that's right. Like, I curate the questions that I get from ChatGPT because I don't always like the ones that it gives me. Yeah. You still have to prompt it with something interesting.
It's still very much not.
Absolutely. All right, let's jump right into it. And our first question is redemption ever possible for problematic public figures? If someone shows real change, atonement, or growth, is there a version of forgiveness in the public sphere, and or should there be? For me, I think it depends on the problematic behavior and how serious the offense was. How long-standing the offense was, like how ongoing, for example, Harvey Weinstein's many years of, I don't know, that might be a bit hard to atone for that sort of thing. But I think Aziz Ansari, I don't know if you heard about his cancellation, and his situation, I think, was less problematic because it was more like...
I think that was a misunderstanding.
Yeah, that was more of a misunderstanding. And so I felt like that situation, it was easier for him to come back from because he also learned from the experience and did a good job about, talking about
blueberry. Thing. It has a tumor.
Oh my God.
It's not a tumor. Yes.
It's not a tumor.
Yes.
I love that we both said that at the same time.
That's awesome. Yeah, I don't know. Like in terms of problematic public figures, I mean, it depends because, I think atonement has to be done over time, and it can't be something that's kind of projected into the ether. Like, for example, you look at people like Colin Farrell, for example. During his early years, he was known as the Hollywood bad boy, out there drinking, partying, smoking, starting fights, rowdy. And I wouldn't say it was problematic, but that was just who he was. Compared to someone, let's say, like an Ezra Miller type. Remember that period where
he kidnapped someone, basically?
No, I mean, it wasn't just that. I mean, it got to a point where every day there was something.
They broke into someone's house, stole their wallet, broke into somebody else's house, stole their booze,
kidnapped a kid.
I don't think there was a kidnapping per se, but unless there was something I didn't hear about.
I think it was classified as a kidnapping because of their age.
Oh, I know there was a grooming situation.
Yeah. It was that was connected.
For the end of the world. There were a few different assault cases.
Yeah, it's tricky because we always have to understand that regardless of what we might think, public figures don't often live in the real world. And when I say that, I don't mean they're better than us at all. It's just like after you reach a certain level of fame, finances, you don't have the same issues anymore. Things get done for you. You get the level of access. You don't even really, and the people you speak with on your average day aren't the average Joe. And after a while, you become detached. Again, we're not talking about politicians per se, but then do you remember, I think it wasn't that long ago, there was the what was it, the Imagine song that all the celebrities started singing?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, do you guys remember? During COVID. And I remember at first I was like, okay, this is nice. But then after a while I was just thinking, what are you guys doing? I mean, this is so out of touch. Like they're like trying to sing a song about, you know, kumbaya, about bringing us all together. And most people were like, dude, I'm just trying to put food on the table, man. I'm trying to make sure my, you know, my family is well and not falling sick, and you guys are singing. So it's tricky.
Yeah. Their experience with reality is not the same as the general public's experience with reality.
You know, to that end, I was listening to the Office Ladies podcast earlier today. I'm currently in season 9, where they break down the show, whatever, and they told a story about how Jenna Fisher became, after the show, she became a producer on some other like short film or something like that. That was like very near and dear to her heart, and so she started realizing, well, the set isn't quite clean before the actors get here. I'm gonna come in early. I'm gonna clean. I'm gonna, you know, scrub the toilets. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. And because the actors can't do it themselves, they can't get up and grab their own cup of coffee because of continuity. What happens if you like mess your hair up? What happens if you know just the act of standing up and moving away from your desk like changes your collar or something? Like there's a lot of continuity type stuff. Hair and makeup and wardrobe those become issues, right? So they get a lot of PAs to come in and do that stuff for them. I know when I worked on a commercial, I was the lead, like, central figure of that commercial, primary character, whatever you want to call it. So, and there were things that, like, I didn't want people waiting on me hand and foot, but that was the job of some people. So, like, I had a whole trailer all to myself, and I wanted to go across the street and grab a Diet Coke. I wasn't allowed. It's not that, like, they would prefer if I didn't do it. Nope. I actually was not allowed to do that. And so they had to go get people to just like, hey, whatever you want, let me know, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't like this. But it has like a purpose and whatever. And the whole reason I bring that up is because a lot of kind of like what you were talking about, Sherrod, is actors over a certain period of time get used to that. They kind of transition into that lifestyle and that whole idea of, and it's not just actors, but like everyone has their PAs that work for them, right? You get into this mindset of, oh, I don't do anything for myself. I have people that do that for me. And you just get used to it because you're not allowed, right? And so in those situations where you are allowed, you kind of get a little disillusioned. And you lose that touch with reality a little bit.
And so you guys are saying that impacts how and why they get into problematic behaviors?
Well, yeah, because I think you lose touch with reality. Look at Neil Gaiman. I think he's one of the most recent. He's had the most recent
Fall
outing.
from Grace.
Yeah, Fall from Grace. Especially with season 2 of Sandman just dropping on Netflix.
I have been debating whether or not I want to watch it. I still haven't
I have things to say specifically about that as the questions progress.
Okay.
But yeah, with all of his, detachment from reality, and who knows to what extent, right? I wasn't hanging out with him for 40 years learning what his likes and dislikes are. But if you have a certain proclivity towards a particular kink, but your detachment from reality gets that all blown out of proportion, it's hard to say how much of it was devious and how much of it was just being completely unaware. I don't know. It's so hard to say. In the spirit of the question, should there be a place for atonement? Yes. I wholeheartedly believe so. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, what that atonement or growth is really depends on what the offense is as well. Like, right. For example, everyone should know that J.K. Rowling's offense is her anti-trans stance stuff. So if she was to ever atone for that sort of thing, she better be spending a lot of money to help the trans community, right? Like that's the sort of thing that's basically the only thing that she could do to atone for all of that.
So in religion, at least in the Mormon religion, I assume it's very similar across most religions, but the whole idea of repentance is recognize your bad behavior, change your bad behavior, and then make restitution for your bad behavior. And that's just, I mean, that's basically it, right? And I remember when the whole thing with Kevin Spacey went down, because it was right in the middle of all of the Me Too, everything, right? It was like every week there was a new person being outed. And when it was Kevin Spacey's turn, when the news initially dropped, and I believe I've said this on this show before, on this live stream, but when news initially dropped, my reaction was, guys, hold off. Let's stop being so reactionary. Let's hear out the situation. No, he needs to be canceled. Now, it turns out he deserved to be canceled, right?
Right.
He deserved to have his pedestal taken from out from under him. But at the time and it wasn't an accusation. It was never an accusation. It was Anthony Rapp, whom I actually saw at Lucky's Bar once. That was interesting. But it was Anthony Rapp doing an interview saying, hey, here's the thing that happened to me as an anecdote. It was a part of a different story. No one was fishing for that story. It just kind of came out, right? And so when that story came out, everyone's like, cancel! And I was like, stop, hold on. Let's hear out the situation. But everyone was so gung-ho on canceling Kevin Spacey. It was so fast. Of course, in the days to come, we come to find out, okay, what a piece of shit he is. But I even then reserved a period of time for him to make amends, for him to, all right, he's going to get canceled. He's going to have his kingdom, so to speak, stripped away from him. Let's give him some time to, reflect on his sins and hopefully come to a better decision about being a better human. And did he? No. He had every opportunity and he doubled down on being a prick.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. That seems to be the more common reaction when this sort of thing happens. But I think it's also a natural reaction to get defensive when that sort of thing comes up. So there's still a chance that you can, like, after you go through that period of defensiveness, reflect on what has actually transpired and then realize, oh no, I did fuck up. You can still have that period to realize that you need to make amends or atone for your sins. But I know personally I get defensive straight away and then I sit back and oh yeah, no, that was not quite right.
but it's interesting as well, because what happens if, the reactive thing is, especially if you're a public figure, admit fault, apologize, step back for a bit, and it will be forgotten. So at the same time, when someone quote unquote apologizes, how real do we know it actually is?
I think what Dominica was saying earlier of using J.K. Rowling as an example, if you have done damage to another person, what restitution? Because you can apologize all day long just to save face, but it's your actions that got you in trouble. So it's your actions that need to make amends.
Gotcha. Nice.
Yeah. And it's also the way that the apology happens as well, because there are fake apologies that you can see through a mile away, right? And then there's the real, genuine apology that comes with reflection and realization of the impact that you had. And so you're acknowledging that sort of thing. That feels more real than just being oh, I'm just trying to brush this under the rug.
I'm sure you two have either come across one version or multiple, really. I get into this YouTube rabbit hole of people who do the worst apology videos. There was one person, I can't remember her name for the life of me. I really can't. I'm blanking right now. I can see her face. I think she was called a groomer and a bad person overall. And instead of apologizing, she just got a banjo out and just started playing and singing a song. Miranda Sings, that's her name. And like she just started like singing, it's not my fault that you guys are all so soft, or something along those lines. And I remember just watching it, just going, what is this? It was great.
That's kind of amazing.
Yeah. In response to the should there be a version of forgiveness in the public sphere, I do think that needs to be a path that is available. That doesn't mean that everyone in the public forgives a person if they do atone for what they've done. If you were personally impacted by the person's behavior, or something was triggered within you from that action, just because somebody apologizes or tries to make up for it doesn't mean that you have to forgive them. But I do think that there needs to be an avenue that it's okay. And I say that like as someone who has made mistakes and work towards seeking forgiveness and atoning for those mistakes and that sort of thing. If there is not that kind of avenue for anyone, regardless of like their status in society, then what's the point of like, there would be no point to them seeking atonement if there was no chance that they were ever going to be forgiven for it in the end anyway.
And it gives them all the more reason to double down on their nastiness.
Yeah, exactly.
And nine times out of 10, if you the monster is what we create.
Yeah, yeah. So,
but I will say one of the things that annoys me about the cancel culture movement is that we preach atonement, but we don't provide a space for it.
Yeah.
Even when someone has made an atonement, we don't accept it. And that I do take issue with.
I mean, unfortunately, it just goes down to our moral grandstanding. Like, we think we know better, but to actually act upon what we say is a completely different animal.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, because it means you have to admit that they're not a bad person.
Right.
It's so much easier.
Well, also, and admit that you were wrong for treating them the way that they did when you canceled them, or not like allowing them space to grow.
Yes, yeah. I don't know about the first part because I feel like a lot of people feel justified.
I think it depends on what you're doing to cancel them. Like, and this isn't just a public figure kind of situation, but like if you are doxing somebody and getting them fired with their employer, and like the infraction is like small in comparison, then you've probably done something shitty and you need to deal with that too, right?
Yeah.
That's
it's tricky though, because if you see someone, let's say, genuinely making an effort or something, I don't think that should be kind of touched down upon. But I think at the same time, people, we need something negative to put our frustrations out on. If you're having a bad day and there's a celebrity or someone in the zeitgeist you just don't like, like it's easy to put all that negative energy onto them. And when they make active steps to get better, you're just like, I don't like that. So it depends.
Yeah, I think it also, our feelings about the celebrity before, like prior to the news coming out about their problematic behavior, also impacts how quickly we are to judge them for it. Like I remember when Joss Whedon's cheating and stuff came out, and like I was a huge fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Angel, Firefly. Yeah, like all of his stuff, right? I love that, and then that aspect where he's known as this person who fights for like feminism and like all of this kind of thing. And so there was this period where I'm just like, I'm going to take some time to process this and see how he responds to it before I decide.
It wasn't just that he cheated on his wife. There was another underlying thing.
Oh, with how he treated his actors or his female actors.
And that was, I mean, because like I hate to say this and I hate to minimize this, but it's also kind of true. Everybody cheats on their spouse. Not everyone, but I mean
a good chunk of
There's it's news at 11. Somebody cheated on their spouse. Like it's not that it's a big deal to them, but it's not a big deal to anyone who is not them, right?
Yeah.
So I don't feel like cheating on your spouse is a crucifiable act, but it was that act that led his, I guess now ex-wife, to outing him as a shitty person on set and mistreating his actors and stuff like that. And that's what got him got his fall from grace, not the
but I think it was that combined with the personality or the persona that he had created for himself because he was known as such a feminist, right? The fact that he behaved in these particular ways showed that, you know, even feminists will like put on an act to, you know, or use that as an avenue to, you know, pursue their dominance and get what they want.
Yeah.
It's really interesting because, like, from some of the videos I've seen, it's actually a lot of the female actors and behind the scenes staff that actually spoke up, and the guys were just like, "Yeah, I saw it," but it was the women that he took his frustrations out on. Yeah. And I just remember thinking, I was just like, "Oh, like, dude, you're a sociopath." The fact is, like, yeah, as you said, he's a feminist. He knows how to write women, and all this jazz, and you just like. Icky. Very, very icky.
Yeah, and that sort of thing kind of makes it like easier in some ways to cancel him for it, whereas like with somebody who is clearly a misogynist persona in the media in general anyway, then you're more likely to be like, oh well, that's just what they're like, right? So, you know, it's almost like they get more of a pass because you know that that's what they're like.
I mean, to be fair, like they're not hiding who they are.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's just that we're collectively, in the collective consciousness, we're waking up to that's bad behavior.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think like pre-social media, I think everyone put celebrities in general on a pedestal, didn't we? The fact is, like, if you want to read about someone, it had to be in a trashy magazine or what have you, or in a talk show. We didn't have access to them, but now in this digital age, we do. Everyone's got like every celebrity's got a social media channel, you know, of their own. And we're seeing the real them. So, and to be fair, like, for example, like you get to see the intricacies and the backstage politicking of the filmmaking industry, for one, the music industry, whatever industry you're in. And you realize like these people are just a persona of what they put out.
Mm-hmm.
Next question.
I'll pull up some comments from the chat first before I move on to the next question. So we had Timmy here. I don't know if Timmy is still, but hello, Timmy, if you are still here. Joining. And then my dad has a two-part question thing. Anyway, first question. Yes, example, St. Paul persecuted Christians, yet through a divine intercession. What's that?
Yep. To intercede, to put yourself in between two parties.
Okay. Okay. Through a divine intercession, call it an aha moment, changed down through the ages. There are examples of this. It is still rare. Too many try on their own and fall back intercession is important. This brings the idea of inspiration, something that comes from inspiration that shifts old parade into new.
That's really cool. I like that.
And then he also said hi to me.
Intercession as being important, but yeah, I get it. Yeah, I guess it is.
This was my first time hearing that word ever in my entire life.
Every day's a school day, right?
It's more a religious-based term, but it's
okay.
I mean, an intercession can be something as not that, what is it like when in intervention? It's basically the same thing. You have a party that intercedes. Well, I guess that's more of like a two party, but intercession means there's like a third party.
Somewhat like a mediator?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
In some cases, yeah.
Okay.
So like sometimes Christ is referred to as the great intercession.
Interceder?
Yeah.
All right. Next question. Do we treat problematic behavior differently depending on how visible the harm is? Why do some people face instant backlash for one tweet while others with a long history of abuse or exploitation manage to keep working? Yes, we do treat problem. I think it depends on how widely it's exposed. Like, for example, like the Bill Cosby situation. Apparently, his stuff was known for a long time, but it wasn't until Hannibal Buress was talking about it that it became more public. And so it's like it took a man to expose it to make it a big deal rather than, years of ignoring the women victims that he had. So yeah, I think that was the case. Like it grew up too big to be ignored anymore. Same with Louis C.K. Like a lot of people were aware of his infractions for years and it was talked about, various places online for years, but it wasn't until I don't remember what it was that blew it up when it happened. But
it was two women who came forward because it was Bill Cosby that started the Me Too movement, or rather, it was the Bill Cosby incident that started the Me Too movement. And so once the Me Too movement started, like people started latching on to this idea. And also Time's Up, Me Too, same thing.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It was the two women that he cornered in a hotel room, and that whole situation where he said, if you don't let me do this in front of you, then I can basically destroy your career.
Right.
And he did. They didn't let him diddle himself in front of them. They left, and as a result, he ruined their careers in comedy.
And then he got cancelled, but now he's back again. So, and I don't think he's atoned for his thing. And he was another one where his stand-up was around more like feminist kind of stuff that he talked about. So that was another one. It's like, how can you, who talks about these kinds of things, be such a dick in this particular way?
I mean, it's tricky because, like, I think that in some instances, people who always are vocally preaching one thing sometimes are guilty of doing exactly that. For example,
they use it as a cover.
One image that definitely comes to mind is Ellen DeGeneres. Like she was a person who preached about be kind to everyone. Whatever you do, be kind. Yeah. And then you'd hear all this stuff from her staff about the stuff that she would get up to, and you're like, oh, you're not a very kind person. And unfortunately, it's becoming a trend. I mean, to be fair, I'm sure you two have probably experienced this in your own lives, where someone who's always outwardly preaching something, in some ways you're like, this is a bit sus, my guy. You know, like you're saying and doing way too much. And unfortunately, it's coming to a point now where someone who is so outspoken about something, I'm like, there's something quite,
You
can't quite.
start becoming suspicious of them being guilty of the things that they're preaching against.
I mean, to say that my spider sense is tingling would be a stretch, but I mean, it comes to a point where you just like, you're a bit sus, my guy. So
well, it's virtue signaling, right? Yeah. Virtue signaling has become a real problem. Mm-hmm. And you know, even 2 nights ago, Kim and I went to go see a Broadway show. Maybe Happy Ending. It was amazing. Go see it. But there were parts in the show, and this is maybe kind of more of a. It's more annoying, less of a negative type of virtue signaling, but it's the same thing. The person sitting right behind us loved the show so fucking much, and who knows how many times they had seen it, but they were applauding. They had to be the first person to applaud to signal to everyone else, they're doing such a great job, and now you all need to love it as much as I do, so applaud with me. And it was so awkward because they were the only one applauding, and then everyone else kind of started, oh, I get, okay, wow. Yeah, wrong time to applaud, but I guess, sure, yeah. And then towards the end, they were just like blubber crying so loudly and so performatively that you're like, what? I get that you love this show, but shut the fuck up. Stop.
Let everyone else enjoy it without your involvement.
Offer a quiet sob. That's what everybody else is doing. There's no need for you to signal to everyone else that you love this more than they do because you're louder and you're crying.
It's a very art school theater kid thing to do.
Oh yeah. So, but I mean, we see that examples of that all over the place, like what you've just mentioned, Sharon.
Yeah, for sure.
But you know, why do some people face instant backlash for one tweet while others have a long history of abuse or exploitation?
Tweets are easier to, and like, or any kind of social media, it's easier to spread faster, and it like screenshot and share to more people, right?
Well, look at James Gunn versus Mel Gibson, right? James Gunn said some terrible things, like legitimately terrible things, but that was also at the time that he was outed for it, or his name got dragged through the mud and he got fired from Disney. Those tweets were already like 12, 13 years old. And you could tell that the person he is or was now at the time was so different from the person he was 12, 13, 14 years ago. Whereas you look at Mel Gibson, Mr. Anti-Semitic.
It hasn't changed at all.
He hasn't changed.
Yeah.
And somehow, some way, there's that. And I think you hit the nail on the head, Dominica, that there isn't something to screenshot and say, this is your offense. I mean, there was that terrible phone call that was recorded. But other than that, like, it was more hearsay.
Right, yeah. Hearsay is, and gives more people room for a benefit of the doubt. It's like, well, maybe that's how they experienced it, but I want to hear the other person's point of view. So, you know, without concrete evidence of the infraction, like you would have in a tweet, then yeah, that's definitely, I've definitely seen a lot of people like, well, let's, yeah. And like another example would be like the Johnny Depp Amber Heard case, right? That whole thing. And people will like, there are a lot of people on different sides of it, and they were like, but there's this side of thing, and like that makes sense, and like this one was the one that was abused, and like no, this was the one that was abused, and like no, they were both fucked up.
I think what made that a special case, it was such a fucking circus that
trial,
we
at
couldn't
least.
look away, and it was so fun to watch
Mhm.
because they were
I
both
watched a lot of it.
equally terrible, and they
Mhm.
both abused each other so horribly that like there was no, they were both guilty parties. There was
And,
no.
and the good thing was there was so much evidence of both happening.
I know.
And that's the thing, like, because of the evidence, that it's easier to be like, oh, that was fucked up. But like most of that kind of thing usually happens behind closed doors, or it's reported in an article, but you don't see the evidence of it like you would in a courtroom in here for that case.
Note, my favorite part was when Johnny Depp proved evidence that she pooped in his bed and tried to claim it was the dog. I loved that so much. Anyway, off topic.
There was one where I was like, why is there a screenshot of this person having this particular conversation that, like, in my mind, I'm like, I think it was like one of them was having a conversation with a friend of the other person's, and I was like really surprised that conversation even existed. I don't even remember what it was, but I'm just like, yeah. Anyway.
Question.
You mean next chat comment? My dad has another comment for us. Yeah, let me scroll down here. Okay, he said paradigms, but I wasn't sure what that was in reference to. So I'm going to move on to this longer comment. He says, we're all sinners. Anyone is game for being picked out for scapegoating. It seems part of this is ego defense, making others low to feel better about one's guilt, Adam hiding from God, and then I don't know if he's like got another comment there.
When confronted.
When confronted. Yeah, that's right.
It's true, though. We do that. We always do that. And you see that trope played out in, bullies or, hurt people type thing.
Right. This is like the whole Johnny Depp and Amber Heard situation is a good example of this, because they kept blaming each other and would not take any responsibility for their part in any of that. And
I will say Amber Heard did not take responsibility, but Johnny Depp owned up to it, but also like it didn't matter.
No. Yeah. It wasn't, I don't feel like it was enough.
Yeah. Oh, okay. No.
My dad's continue. So confronted blames Eve. So Adam blames Eve. Yes. These Bible stories. Mm-hmm. All right. Next question. I want to make sure that we try and get through all of them, because we have to finish earlier than usual.
45 minutes.
Mm-hmm. All right. Has learning something dark about an artist ever changed the meaning of their work for you? Did it ruin the art, reframe it, or reveal something you hadn't noticed before?
Bill Cosby.
Yeah, bro.
I think that is probably the most blatant example, because like it was Spanish Fly was all through all of his comedy albums, and it was all there, there are certain bits of his that I can still listen to that have, like, the chocolate cake thing. It has no reference to Spanish Fly or abusing people or taking advantage of people masked as masculinity or cool or whatever you want to call it. There are bits that, I will still stand by and say, if you remove the person, if you remove the artist from this piece of art, this is still perfect. This still works. But it's hard when you realized what it was that he was guilty of, or and being accused of. He was guilty because he was charged, went to prison. And then you go back and listen to his comedy albums, and there's so many references to Spanish Fly that, I mean, how did we miss that?
I didn't really follow Bill Cosby's work, so that one didn't impact me the same way. I think, but on similar lines, I think I was the Louis C.K. stuff reframed his comedy for me, because I was familiar with his work before that stuff came out. I mean, I'd gone to see him perform at the Oakland Coliseum, I think, or that arena, I don't know, maybe a year or something before his stuff came out and was widely known. So, and I think I'd also watched his TV series at that point. So yeah, that was really reframed for me. I have not been up for rewatching Buffy since the Joss Whedon stuff came out. I would like to, because I love that series, but I've not been able to bring myself to it yet. But also because I also wanted to show it to my daughter, and she's like not been open to it. So yeah, so that's another thing. I think that's more for me what it's been, is like once the news comes out about someone that I have enjoyed, then I am less likely to engage with that person's art any further. And there have probably been examples where I've ignored it and be like, well, separate the art from the artist kind of thing. Yeah. But it really depends on what the infraction is. I'm pretty sure, like, I've still watched Woody Allen films despite his bullshit.
Is there something to say about that? But I want to hear Sherrod's.
Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, just off the top of my head, to remind our viewers, I'm a massive pro wrestling fan, always have been. And in recent times, you know, obviously Hulk Hogan has recently passed away.
Yeah,
and that was a big thing. Hulk Hogan, I'm sure for a lot of people, he was a larger than life character. Even if you weren't a wrestling fan or even a film fan, you knew who he was: the red, the yellow, the take your vitamins kind of thing. Yeah, exactly. But he was a piece of poop, you know. And like from what I've heard and read about over the last 30 odd years of me being a fan, the guy was a monster. He was an absolute prick. And I at the same time, this wasn't a hidden thing. As obviously as time has gone on, we uncovered more and more. But I think what his legacy will be is that it will be recognized on how it pushed a sport from, you know, something that was kind of embarrassed, like a circus sideshow thing, to the mainstream zeitgeist, to what it is. So that will never be forgotten. But we can also acknowledge when he was a piece of poop, and that doesn't have to be hidden away. So yeah.
Kind of what you were talking about, Dominica, about like, sometimes the indiscretion has ruined the art. I have, for me at least, man, this whole table is shaky. I have my own form of a litmus test, or not a litmus test, but a set of regulations in terms of like how I consume someone's art, right? If it was something that I was already familiar, and I'm going to use Mel Gibson, for example, right? We all grew up on Mel Gibson movies, Mad Max, Lethal Weapon, Braveheart, yeah. Like all these movies I had already seen multiple times, and I loved these movies over and over and over again, long before his anti-Semitism really became the forefront of people's minds. And so I still view those pieces of art separately. Now, the new stuff, I can't watch his new movies because all I see is an anti-Semite who somehow is still working in Hollywood.
Speaking of Mel Gibson, I just this year rewatched What Women Want.
Great film.
Which he was in with Helen Hunt. Yep. And I don't think it went over as well this time compared to when I first watched it. And probably as a result of, you know, knowing what kind of person he is.
I think the reason why he picked that role was like, oh, I'm just have to play myself.
Yeah. He's such a jerk in that film.
But yeah, that's kind of my break. And you know, Alfred Hitchcock, I will also throw into the mix. What a fucking shitty human being.
He was a monster.
He really was a monster in every sense of the word. Look at what he did to Tippi Hedren for years. But it's also kind of undisputed that Psycho is one of the greatest horror films ever made. Period. Holds no barred. And it changed cinema forever. Not just the horror industry, it changed filmmaking forever because he was so brilliant and calculated in how he made that film. So much so that, Gus Van Sant went out and recreated it shot for shot, line for line, which I appreciate, but it didn't work.
No, it did not.
Yeah, especially when you're getting what's his name to play Norman?
Vince Vaughn.
Oh God, yeah,
not great.
Not great.
Anyway, next question.
Let me. I just feel like I have other stuff to add. So, like, I feel like that's the reason why I've seen like Woody Allen films as well. Like, similar to the Hitchcock reasons, like he is held up as like this great filmmaker, and so like I remember some of his films being recommended to me while I was studying filmmaking as like, you got to watch this film. But the other reason I might watch something that someone problematic has been involved with is to support the other people who are involved with it. Like Owen Wilson is an actor that I've been a huge fan of for years, and he was in a Woody Allen film. So I watched it for Owen Wilson, not Woody Allen.
My roommate
so that kind of thing
was in a Woody Allen film.
Really?
And he got directed by Woody Allen. He had to light somebody else's cigarette. He was just like a featured background, but like he actually got directed by Woody Allen, and that was a lifelong dream fulfilled by him. Which has now been tainted forever.
His problematic stuff, it's tragic, and that's my way of getting around the tainting aspect. Like I still want to revisit the Buffy the Vampire Slayer stuff despite Joss Whedon because of my love and support for all of the other people who were involved in the production. And like, with J.K. Rowling's bullshit, I love and appreciate how like the Harry Potter actors have spoken out against her. And like, so it's tricky because like, I don't want to spend money to support and like that goes towards the hate and that sort of thing. But if it is also supporting other people, then it depends. Yeah. It's like a gray area sort of thing.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. If you're just going to contribute to the noise, what's the point, right? It's just like it's everyone's shouting to the wall. If you just go after them, it's not going to make any difference. So as both of you have said, like if we can assist those that have been harmed by it, great, job done.
Yeah. It's I want to touch on what you said about like spending money, right? Because like we all want to keep spending money on Harry Potter stuff because it's wonderful.
Love butterbeer, man. Butterbeer's great. Yeah.
But what we don't want to do is keep filling the pockets of J.K. Rowling. But as you also say, it's tricky. It's a gray area because there are so many other people who worked on those films. And everything else surrounding that you do want their pockets to get a little filled up from what you can provide. I think what's hard is that we pick and choose what high profile cases we support and don't. And we I don't know if anyone is aware of like everything that's going on with Target. Because it's more political in nature, so I'm not going to go into it. But there in the United States, there's been a small movement of people who have boycotted Target, and a lot of people, whether they see it or don't know about it, they're still shopping at Target. I still shop at Target because kind of have to. And I like it.
I love Target.
But it's also there are plenty of other places like pick a gas station Anyone who has a car fills their car with gas, and that gas comes from a very politically decisive position about the Middle East, about our current politics, blah 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 blah, and the examples are legion. So it's hard for me, at least, to make that delineation between picking and choosing which causes I'm going to support with my wallet as opposed to just carte blanche. It's hard for me because it for me, I'm not trying to make anyone feel a certain way, but it feels hypocritical to me.
Yeah, no, I can definitely have had those kinds of experiences. I had going back to the J.K. Rowling example. I had bought a ticket to see the Cursed Child play prior to the pandemic, and then the pandemic shut it down, and so it got postponed, and so by the time that they brought it back, it had been condensed from the 2-part thing into
7 hours and 3.5 hours.
So that meant that I had the choice of just not going at all. I could just be completely refunded for it, or I could choose still go and see it. And I ended up deciding to still go and see it because I had previously had already done it. And I don't, and that was obviously after the whole, anti-trans stuff came out with J.K. Rowling. But I don't really regret it because I feel like that particular play, the way that they addressed things, like it felt like something that J.K. Rowling would not have approved of. Just some of the stuff that they put in there, it felt like that. And so I was like, I'm glad you did that.
Yeah. I also do feel like there are certain IPs that become bigger than their creators. Like Sandman is bigger than Neil Gaiman. Harry Potter is bigger than J.K. Rowling.
Star Wars, another one.
Star Wars is bigger than George Lucas. And not that it becomes public domain, but from a social interaction, it becomes public domain. Yeah. Where, okay, yeah, sure. Up until the point that George Lucas sold it to Disney, George Lucas owned Star Wars. He was Star Wars, but he kind of wasn't, because the fans got to take ownership of it. And that's how I kind of feel specifically about Harry Potter, is that that IP belongs to the fans. It doesn't legally, it belongs to J.K. Okay, fine.
And spending money on it, she still gets to line her pockets with money.
Yeah, but by supporting, by putting, this is a poor way to phrase this, and I fully acknowledge it, but by putting a little bit of money in J.K. Rowling's pockets, we are also providing opportunity so that the fans can experience more of everything that we all love. And that sucks. But it also, it's kind of true, right? I mean, you don't have to agree with me, but
yeah, I have mixed. I definitely do not spend money on J.K. Rowling, like Harry Potter stuff anymore. But there was a period where I was like kind of feeling things out for myself, where my comfort level lied.
Yeah. I get it.
Next question.
Next
comment.
Chat comment. I don't think there's a lot, but we'll see. I don't know what my dad was responding to here too, but he did say it's pertinent to real life.
I think that Bible stories are pertinent to real life.
Yeah,
could have been. Paradigms, not parades, in earlier response. Maybe you said paradigms. Okay.
Yep, I got it.
Rethink anti-Semitism in light of what's happening to Candace Owens. I have no idea what's happening to Candace Owens. Notice how the meaning of the term has changed over time. The topic is starting to get back to truth, subjective versus objective.
Yep, very true.
Candace Owens.
She's a piece of poop.
Like, I know the name, but I have no idea, like, context.
Oh, it's a political.
Yeah, she's a provocateur. That's all she is. So.
Is she like a newscaster or something?
No, she's like a social media just star who just talks a lot of poop. So.
Okay. All right, move on to. Oops, sorry, that's not the next comment. It went up right as I clicked on the other one. Is there an ultimate authority or anybody's opinion because of feeling personally attacked? Nope. There is not an ultimate authority. No one person decides public opinion on whether something is good or bad. Everyone gets to decide for themselves whether or not they choose to engage with somebody's art.
Yes. I do think that there is a lot of online persuasion. You know, the tribalism has, thanks to social media, kind of, we've seen the rise of tribalism. And I don't think that is necessarily healthy.
Yeah. There are people that are more likely to sway public opinion than others, but they will not always be listened to. And I don't think there's anyone that can persuade the entire public in a particular direction. But definitely when there's piles-ons, that tribalism that you mentioned is, yeah.
Yeah, I think just going back to the well of pro wrestling again, I mean, it gets to a point where I remember, like, if the company wants to push a certain character or on-screen presence as the main draw, but the fans, let's say, don't necessarily react to that, but they like someone else, someone who isn't pushed to that, it can be a bit of a push and pull, because the company will be like, no, we want this guy or this institution to be the thing. Don't worry about that one. And it's happened several times where the fans will just get behind someone or a group and just organically just push and make them bigger into what they are. So the ultimate authority can either be, okay, let's make money, okay, or they'll just be like, blah, 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 no, and then they'll lose money. So it really depends.
I love it every time Sharon makes that noise.
My Donald
So
Duck Yeah, so I mean, ultimate authorities are there, but it comes to a point where do they want to sink or swim?
I guess what the examples that we're giving is like it's more of a collective authority rather than like,
one source.
Yeah, one source. Unless we're talking political, but we're not. My dad also says Star Wars written by Lucas used archetypes.
Yeah, of course it does. It's the hero's journey. Yeah, the hero's journey. Of course it does.
Same thing with, I mean, Star Wars and Harry Potter are the same exact story.
Not just that, Star Wars, and do you guys remember this books turned into films called Aragon about the dragon?
I hated that movie.
But the thing is, though, if you think about it, it's literally beat for beat Star Wars.
Oh, yeah.
Literally beat for beat.
The hero's journey is a proven...
it works. The hero's journey, I mean, since time, it's worked ever since ancient Greece. So, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
All right, let's move on with our next question.
Next question.
Is there a piece of problematic art that you still return to? And if so, why? What makes it worth holding on to, even when you know the creator's history?
Problematic art. So is it art created by a problematic person, or is it a problematic person who has put problematic material into their art?
I think we can interpret it either way. If there are examples of either case, feel free to bring them up.
Well, I go back to Bill Cosby, like his bits about, using Spanish fly. I can't, in good conscience, listen to that. It just makes me uncomfortable. But his chocolate cake bit, there isn't any problematic material in that bit. There's a whole story, another thing about, a kid on the airplane named Jeffrey. Jeffrey, if you please, Jeffrey, can you, Jeffrey? And the way he tells it is brilliant. It still holds up if you can remove the figure from the art. Same thing with Michael Jackson. I fucking love Michael Jackson's music. I went to go see MJ on Broadway. It is
brilliant. I saw it locally here. Yeah. I
am so looking forward to the Michael Jackson biopic. I'm more looking forward to how do I phrase this? The original finished film that was the Michael Jackson biopic. I'm more interested in that, but legally that can never see the light of day. So I want to see more about this person, but not too much that, because like Michael Jackson, like I said with Alfred Hitchcock, very problematic people, problematic figures that are dead.
Mm-hmm.
So
they're not getting the money from it. It's their estate that's getting the money.
Yeah. So it's, you can drag Michael Jackson's name through the mud all you want now, but it's kind of a moot point. It doesn't matter anymore. Mm-hmm. Now, the hurt that he caused or may have caused, probably caused, I haven't watched the documentaries, I don't really want to know. That hurt is still there, and there are people who are still affected by his actions. I don't know.
Yeah, I think for me, it's like I am a sucker for drama. I'm just as guilty as the next person. The first thing that comes to mind is, I don't know whether you two remember this film. It came out in 1996 called The Island of Dr. Moreau, starring Val Kilmer and Marlon Brando. And the thing was, the film is fine. It's not great, but it's the making of is legendary because it was an absolute mess from head to toe. There's a documentary you guys should watch regarding that film. It's chef's kiss. And I remember watching that, and I remember as a kid just going like, this is weird. Why is Batman doing this at the time? Val Kilmer was Batman, right? So I'm like, what's going on? Why is Jor-El acting weird? And it just, and then when you hear the stories behind it about how it was such a problematic shoot, it almost becomes a mythical in the way that it's built up, and it becomes this thing where it's put on a pedestal as like, how did this production get made and the fallout from it, and it almost becomes incredible. Yeah. So at that point, so in some ways it's good to watch because it can remind you what not to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. For me, I think I haven't recently returned to this, but I have returned to it since I learned about the problematic aspects of it, which I brought up on our Disney live stream a while back, Song of the South. I've absolutely returned to that and I would go back to it again. I still have it on DVD, even though Disney never officially released it. So that one is an example that I would bring up, even though I haven't done so recently. And I think the last time that I worked my way through the Pirates of the Caribbean movies was around the time that the Johnny Depp Amber Heard stuff was starting to become like more public knowledge.
Yeah.
Fun.
there are two other pieces, or two other films that I'd like to bring up that I do actually keep returning back to, and this is kind of a different side of this question. Is there other problematic art that I still return to? There are two specifically, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and Mike Myers, The Love Guru. I know I don't see them as problematic art, and that's why I say it's the other side of the coin. Other people see Indiana Jones, The Temple of Doom as being very racist in the cultural aspects in the dinner scene. I don't. I see it as comedy. It's not a reflection of the Indian culture and the people there. It was only a reflection of the palace, of what they eat in the palace. That's my take on it. And then Mike Myers, The Love Guru. Again, I don't find it to be racist. I find it to be, sure, maybe a little insensitive, but I don't think that those are the same thing. And I also think that movie is wildly hilarious, even though that's the film that killed Mike Myers' career.
I've never seen it.
I love it. So, just so you know what you're getting into, there's this scene where this guy named Jack comes in riding on top of an elephant, and there's a group of Mike Myers kind of servants around, and he stops and he goes, "You guys, my Uncle Jack is up on top of the elephant. Can you help my Uncle Jack off the elephant?"
Yeah.
It's like just so childish. But that's the humor of this movie. And it's so
wild. It's Oscar Wilde, honestly.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I am so here for it. Yeah.
Playing with words is definitely fun.
Wordplay is cool.
Yeah.
I dig it.
Yeah. Anyway, but a lot of people see that cultural insensitivity as true, egregious, offensive material towards the
culture,
like the Indian culture, which is it insensitive? Yeah, maybe, yeah, but I don't think that it's done with malice. I think that it's done with love, and I don't know. I don't know. There are certain things that people point to and say, "How dare you?" That I turn around and go, I don't know about this one, you guys. I don't know.
Yeah, this is reminding me of, there's this Australian comedian called Chris Lilly, and he did a series of different like short TV series where he would play like multiple different characters, and some were definitely not his race, and or sometimes not his gender, and the first couple of series, I thought like I was fine with him, like gender bending stuff. When he started getting into like playing non-white people, that's when things started to get a little bit more questionable for me. But yeah, so that's what this is reminding me of. But his original stuff, granted, it's been many, many years since I've seen it, so I don't know how I feel about it now. But at the time, I thought it was hilarious.
Also, times change, too. Things that we see as problematic now were not seen as being problematic 30 years ago. And things that we think we're being very progressive about now may turn out to be problematic 30 years from now.
That's
so,
very true.
It's all relative.
All right, moving on to my dad's got a few more comments, and then we have one more question. Hopefully, we can handle in the next 15 minutes. So my dad had a follow up for the Candace Owen thing. He said her reading and research is valid. I have no idea.
We'll take your word for it, Frank.
Someone that he appreciates, I suppose. And then he says, the Bible is problematic. Many disagree, yet it influences many towards life-affirming experiences. It's back to ego self versus true self. Even this gets back to subjective versus objective truth.
Well, I mean, there's a lot in the Bible
that
contradicts itself. That you like the Old Testament versus New Testament, taking scriptures out of context. Having an agenda and using this passage to prove your thing. Examples, take Elisha, the prophet Elisha. There was the whole thing of, because one of the big defining features of Elisha was that he was bald. And so there's a story in the Bible where the kids, do you know where I'm going with this?
No, but just it's an interesting thing to kick off. But okay.
So like a prophet of the Lord sicked a bear on to attack children because they made fun of his bald head.
Valid.
So that's the story in the Bible. So
that's crazy.
The question, did that really happen? Do you believe that everything in the Bible is not a parable? Because if so, on a whim, a prophet of the Lord murdered children.
Just because he's follically challenged. Yeah.
Say what?
Just because he's follically challenged.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
I love that turn of phrase.
Yeah. So there's a lot in the Bible that is problematic.
Well, yeah. I mean, like if you look at, I mean, again, going back to the Bible, the fact is it's had multiple revisions, isn't there? There's multiple different sectors
and translations and how it gets translated as well. Like this whole,
yeah.
And whoever is doing the translation, they get to put their own interpretation on and spin on things. So we don't know how much is actually accurate based on its original intent.
Yeah, and the fact is, like, I mean, it's less so now, but back then when monarchies and kingdoms were the norm, usually the church, nothing could be done without the church's blessing, quote unquote. Yeah, but you know, like the fact is, like, if you wanted to do anything, you needed blessing from the Pope to do this. If you wanted to go to war, you had to have a blessing, and going back to the war against the Crusades. Right. The fact is, how many people died and suffered because of for God and God's country or whatever. And so the fact is, I have no doubt that the Bible and any kind of religious context is meant to be healing and unifying. But over time, there's been problems.
Yeah.
All right. Last question.
Last question.
Have you ever felt problematic yourself?
No.
If so, what did you do about it? And what do you think people owe others when they realize they've caused harm? Such a big question to end with.
I know, right? I'll take this one off. I had a girlfriend in college that was a very tumultuous relationship. And when we broke up, she said something to me that stuck with me, and it will never, in the history of my being, leave me, because it had such a deep and profound impact. Which is to say, when we broke up, as a means of lashing out and trying to hurt me, she said there were things that I made her do that she never wanted to do. I think we all know the word associated with that, but she didn't use the word. Those were the words that she used. There were things that you made me do that I never wanted to do. And to me, that was the first time that I was hearing of that. In the moment, you seemed totally willing. In a world of believe women, it's hard to it's hard to have an argument against that. It's me versus her. Now, granted, she said it to me. As far as I know, she never said those words to anybody else. She only said them to me, as far as I know, which also maybe kind of changes things. I know I did nothing wrong. I know she did nothing wrong, except for, maybe embellish the truth a little bit. I do know that she was a very religious person, and every now and again, after we would get a little intimate, it would later on result in her being very, very sad because she felt like she was letting God down by going through these things. So, having whether I did something problematic or not, I don't believe that I did, but I have to acknowledge on some level that maybe there was wrongdoing. I don't think there was, but maybe there was. I don't think there was.
This is making me think about a conversation I recently had with my son, and I won't go into all of the details, but I specifically was talking to him about how sometimes there are situations where someone will go along with a thing because they think that they should, or that they just want to do something that they think that you want to do, but they're not actually okay with it. And it can be very hard to tell if that is the case. So like that's a very hard conversation to have. Like, my son is 14, almost 15. His birthday's later this month, and so, like, fortunately, I'm like having this conversation with him now before things go. I mean, he's obviously going to have to learn his own lessons through experience as well, but it's good for him to be aware that some people will go along with things thinking that they should, or thinking they're okay with it at the time, and then change their mind about it afterwards. And I think it's important to be aware of, even if there's nothing you could do about it.
I mean, peer pressure is a hell of a thing.
Yeah. So, what did I do about it? What do I think?
What do you owe others when you realize you've caused harm?
Yes. In a situation like that, all I can do is apologize profusely, which at the time I still believe I did nothing wrong, and I believe she said those words because I was breaking up with her. She never wanted to break up. There was a scream, a sound, a visceral beckoning of one's soul. It sounded like her soul was being ripped in half because I decided to end the relationship. It was just a bad relationship. The whole thing was tumultuous. So I do, in my heart of hearts, believe that she was just using that to get at me. I had hurt her by breaking up, so she was trying to hurt me by any means necessary. That's my take on it. How do I make restitution? All you can do is A, apologize profusely, and B, change your actions. And she didn't want to hear an apology. All she wanted was for me to get back together with her. But like I said, I've been
okay. So here's the thing: like, if she was accusing you of those things, why would she want to get back together with you? Like, that doesn't make sense.
She didn't make a big deal of it. It was a blip. It was something she said of like, and here's another thing. I never wanted to do that, but you made me. And then, moved on to like other things that are wrong with me, right?
And one more thing, you sneezed on my dog and you didn't say you were sorry.
Exactly. But it was because of that, it had such a profound impact on me that it changed every single relationship I ever had after that. And here's how it changed. I, even with my wife, had to ask for consent before initiating a kiss. It changed.
Really?
It changed.
Wow.
In fact, I dated a woman the first time we kissed. She was another performer, another improviser at the theater. We're on a date, and it came time for her to go her way and me to go my way. And I asked her if I could kiss her, and she said, "Mike, never ask a woman if you." And this is an incredibly progressive human being.
Yeah.
She ripped me apart for not voting Hillary. I voted Bernie. That wasn't good enough. You're supposed to vote female. She said, never ask a woman for permission to kiss her, because that ruins the romance. That ruins the moment.
Takes away your masculine energy.
Yeah. And I was like, hang on a second. I have to ask your permission because I have psychological trauma from
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Like, I just, and you know, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, just to piggyback on that, like, yeah, I was seeing a girl when I was in Savannah, Georgia, and I think after our second date, we were at her place. We were just lying in bed watching Netflix, and I thought, all right, I'm going to make my move, and you know, I gave her a quick smooch, and I remember, like, I pulled away, and the first thing I asked her was, "Is this okay?" And bless her heart, she burst out laughing, and she went, "Why did you ask me that?" I'm like, "Is it okay?" And then she slapped me, and then she was like, "Hey, come here." But like, I remember, like, yeah, it was like a joke to her, but for me, I thought it was because it was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Personally, I appreciate being asked for, and yeah, I did something I want.
Better safe than sorry.
So yeah, something it's more that I want more of now because I have felt violated. I think that I think that's the difference. Like, if you've never been in a position where your consent has been violated, then maybe that is a non-issue to you. But if you have had your consent violated, or you have been made to feel like you've violated someone's consent, then of course it's going to have a different kind of impact on you. For my answer to this question, I think the problematic ways that I have felt, or the ways that I have felt problematic, have been when I have reflected back on past behavior and seen myself as manipulative. Even if I wasn't intending to be manipulative, like I'll have reflected back and thought, oh, that was kind of manipulative. One example that I have come back to and actually dealt with was with my Malaysian ex, Lee, who I've brought up in the past. It's been a while, I think, but maybe. And there was a time where I really wanted him to come up and see me on a vacation that I was on. I was super depressed right now, and like reflecting back on everything I said to him to try and make him to come up and see me, in hindsight, made me think, man, I was fucking manipulative with him to make him actually come up and see me. And he did come up and see me and everything. And so later, we broke up and things, and then, but later we reconnected, and I said to him, I was like, I commented, I'm like, I felt like I was manipulative with you back then, and I apologize for it. Now, in his perspective, he didn't see it that way, but the fact that I did it meant that it impacted my behavior going forward. And so I now think more about what I say before I say it, because I don't want to come across as manipulative.
Yeah.
But the fact is, you picked it up and you learned, right?
Yeah.
Some people, to be fair, well, I mean, we all have that one friend, like whenever someone brings up their name, they're like, yep, everyone rolls their eyes and then go, yep. And unfortunately, sometimes most people either they're told what their problem is, they're just like, nope, that's not me. So the fact that that both of you are, and myself included, like we all know that we're not perfect and there's ways we can improve on. But some people, what do we do with people who refuse to see reality though?
You just have to wait until they get told enough times that they realize that they're the common denominator and they are the problem, or just like move on and let them do their own thing and just
let them self-destruct.
You can't change another person. You just, they have to come to that realization on their own and grow, because it reaches a point where it's impacting them personally, their problematic behavior.
It depends on people's motivations. Like, do they want to be selfish, or are they on a path of self-improvement? Right. Like, if they actually genuinely want to be a better person day to day, then that means they're probably open to constructive criticism. But if they just want to be a dog and live the life that they want to live, they're probably very obtuse to those things.
Well, that's the thing. I think pride goes a very long way. The fact is, they're just like, no, nothing wrong with me. No, I'm the best version of myself. And
get really stuck in our egos. But other times that people are just like selfish, like Mike said, like they're like, I don't give a shit how the impact that my behavior has on other people. As long as I'm getting what I want, then who gives a shit about anybody else?
Well, that's the thing. Like, ego is something that we all have in some vein or form. Right? As much as we like to say otherwise, like we all have a form of ego, and it's interesting when people who despite multiple parties telling them, like, they're not being mean, they're just like saying, listen, we've noticed XYZ, a person can just be like, no, you're wrong. No, this has served me well my entire life and I'm not going to change.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a shame. There's only so much you can do.
Friends, I apologize. I'm going to have to call
No worries. We were aware that you were going to have to leave at this particular time. Thank you so much for joining us. My dad does have another couple of comments, but Sharon and I can address those after you leave.
Great. Thanks for having me. This has been so much fun. Love you all. Remember me after I'm gone.
Oh no. Who was that? Like, it's just the two of us. It's been the two of us this entire time. And let's bring my dad's last comments. My dad says, last question, serious self-reflection and reconciliation. That's very complicated. Not able to suggest the best path.
I mean, it's tricky. Not everyone goes by the same path.
Yeah, and the best path depends on who you're trying to reconcile with as well, because different people have different preferences in how to be made amends with, I think.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, though, like if you want to apologize to someone, or someone wants to apologize to you, the fact is, you don't, like, if they accept it, you can't decide that, right?
Yeah, you can speak your part, but they don't have to respond in the way that you want them to.
Or respond at all.
Yes, exactly. I've definitely had moments where I've tried to apologize a bunch of times and never gotten anything back. But I still put myself out there because for me, it's the right thing to do. And it makes me feel like at least I've tried, even if it doesn't get the response.
And at the same time, like I said, like I've always told people, like you can't control other people, but the only thing you can do is control yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And if you put yourself out there and you say your piece, like, listen, I'm humbling myself, I'm apologizing, I'm aware of what I did was wrong, I'm making amends. Whether they decide to accept it and go on, it's up to them. You already put yourself out there, so you've done your part.
Yeah. All right, my dad's last comment, unless something else comes up in the meantime. Supposedly we have 2 viewers right now, so it might be somebody else who, feel free to leave us a comment if you want us to continue. Otherwise, this will be our last thing that we respond to. So my dad says Mike's paradigm shift is the over versus all the men, especially the first my first question? I don't know.
You're
It's when you accidentally leave out letters that I can't always understand what's being said. All right, I'll let my dad comment on the video afterwards, I suppose. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your contributions, Dad. If you're watching after the fact, thank you so much for tuning in and watching the whole thing all the way through. If you're not already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. Then you can get notifications for when we go live in the future. We do try to do this show every week, although not always at the same time. It depends on our availability. So don't know what next week's topic is yet. We'll find out sometime before the next stream, which will probably be next Thursday US time, Friday Asia Pacific time, and yeah.